Hey, okay, all right. Welcome to the Tuesday show. My name's Ultra David.
And I'm James Chen. How's everybody going?
There it is. So we're going to talk about...
I feel like we're like a little too... Okay, there we go. There we go. All right.
You know,
Spread out a little.
I'm having a nice hair day today.
What's that?
I just wanted to say that.
You having a nice hair day today?
I'm feeling pleased with myself.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff.
Anyway, so we're going to talk about the Capcom Pro Tour 2018 being announced, some rules changes and points changes and that kind of thing. We'll get to that. We're going to talk about Blanka, who is now out and playable. Have you played him?
I just did. I ran down here. I thought I was going to be late because I was streaming and I lost track of time. So
good. Yeah. I was actually the late one due to traffic. That's how it goes.
Barely though.
But barely.
Let me tell you.
Yeah. Okay.
Barely. I was. Yeah.
Alrighty.
Trying some stupid Blanka trials and trying some pinball combos.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I messed with him, but not combo wise.
Okay.
So we'll talk a little bit about it. Then not a whole lot else really to talk about. We're going to talk briefly about our experiences on DBFZ ongoing. Yeah,
both of us are continuing to play it a little bit more.
For sure.
And I've been watching a lot of it now as well.
For sure.
So, yeah.
Definitely. There's a sort of news and some results, and then that's probably not going to take up all the time. So we're probably going to end up taking questions from the chat and so forth.
Right, because that's always fun to do. We always do that
fun.
every once in a while anyway, and we usually end up with some fun questions.
For sure.
So,
okay, well, Capcom Pro Tour 2018.
Capcom Pro Tour.
It has been announced.
And does not fit in my topic window here.
CPT announced.
CPT announced. There we go. All right, what do you got on the details of the CPT here?
So it'll be 32 players again, right? The sort of generalities of it are the same.
They're the same, yes. There's going to be 4 regions.
Right.
Right.
So there's going to be the premieres, which will give global points. There will be the ranking events. There will be the regional finals in those 4 different regions. So sort of the broad structure of it, still very much the same.
Right.
But there are some changes to it. One is that the number of premieres a little bit different, right? Fewer tournaments are counted as premieres, and they're kind of, we'll talk about this, but geographically centralized.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. You know.
I mean, I don't. Do you want to talk more before we get into?
Sure. And then the other big change is that the way that they did the points is different. So now the points that you get for doing well at a ranking event are considerably lower than they were before.
And premieres are much higher.
Premieres are higher.
Before.
So
and even Evo almost like first place almost got doubled in the number of points. Went from 1,000 to 1,750 for first place. So,
there you go. Yeah. Significant change. So first of all, let's talk about how they did the premieres. That's what we were about to jump into.
Right.
So the premieres are ones that you kind of think of, at least when it comes to the U.S., final round, starting things off as it has for the whole time.
Right.
Every year. NorCal Regionals coming up soon after that. Stunfest in France, Combo Breaker in Chicago, Illinois, U.S., Taiwan Fighter Major in Taiwan, CEO in the U.S., VS Fighting in the U.K., Esports Festival Hong Kong in Hong Kong, China Premier Event in China, DreamHack Montreal in Canada, SoCal Regionals in the U.S., Japan Premier at Tokyo Game Show, Japan. EGX is the EU's regional final, Southeast Asia Majors is Asia regional final, Canada Cup then is a premiere, then the Red Bull NA regional final, and Latin American regional final before Capcom Cup.
Yep.
So
definitely much more U.S.-centric than before, right?
There's no doubt about it. It's very U.S.-centric.
Yes.
It's not even a little bit.
Actually, we should say it as North American-centric.
It's NA.
Yes, North American-centric.
For sure. Because, of course, 2 of them are in Canada.
I mean, even if you discount, like we don't even need to talk about EVO, because people travel from all around the world to EVO, so that's fine.
It's its own thing.
But even if we discount EVO, it's still, like, super full of NA events.
And not just that it's full of NA events, but that the NA events are within some of the same regions. Like, there's both SoCal Regionals and NorCal Regionals. I'm living in California, but I can tell you, we don't need both of those to be premieres. We don't. You don't need both Canada Cup and DreamHack Montreal. Eastern Canada doesn't need 2.
Right.
And I'm not even sure whether it makes sense, considering how few other regions have, to have both final round and CEO to be premieres. Meanwhile, all of Europe has 2.
I thought they had 3.
there's also the EU regional final. So there's 3 if you want to count that. But before that, there is VS Fighting in Birmingham in the UK, and then there's
Stunfest earlier.
Stunfest in France.
That's it? I could have swore I saw another one.
And then EGX regional final in Birmingham again.
Holy crap. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's only...
but that's... So those are the only 2 premieres on the entire megacontinent of Afro-Eurasia that are not on Eastern Asia. Like
Right.
the whole Western 3/4 of that thing is completely without a premiere. So you're not representing land. The land doesn't matter. But there are scenes in Southern Europe and Eastern Europe, and there are scenes in the Middle East, and I know there's a scene in India. We've met those dudes.
Right.
There's nothing.
How many total is there? Would you count
Okay,
that?
so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, and then 4 regional finals.
So 14 or 13, did you say?
Try it again. I don't remember
13.
either.
I think you said 13.
Okay, all right,
I think you
fair
said
enough,
13. Basically, I think that there's room for them to add more in the future. Like, just be like, all right, here's another one. Like, I almost kind of hope they do, because 2 in Europe sounds...
Yeah, it's pretty wild, I think. And it's... So, they're not coming up with these events. They're making established events
Right.
into premieres, right? They're sort of like promoting them, whatever.
Right.
So, they're not going to like create one in Bulgaria,
Right.
right? So, fine. But there are more big events than that in Europe. Like, there's ranking events, right? That could have been... There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that are ranking events in Europe. That could have been one of them premieres. Latin America has no premieres. There's only the regional final. That's a big region, and there are, again, ranking events there that are established.
Right, there's more ranking events there than there are anywhere else, but regardless, ranking events just don't give you points compared to premier events. So even when you add up all those ranking events, they still don't quite... Like, someone actually did the math and said that the ranking events in Latin America are giving away like 2,000 some points, and then I think it was Europe was giving away like 3,000 something points, and then Asia was like just under 4,000, and US had like almost 4,500 or 5,000 points or something like that. Like like Latin America literally has half the number of points that they can give out that the US can give out.
Because it's only ranking events, and ranking events give way fewer points.
And this was not counting EVO or the online tournaments when the guy calculated it. So even the bloat that comes from EVO wasn't taken into account for the North America. So
Right. Yeah, I think that's a very strange choice. There were premieres there before, and of course the Capcom Cup champion is from Latin America, it's from the Dominican Republic, which has its own major, right? So, and there are a bunch. I mean, there's you can look at the list on CapcomProTour.com's site, and there are ranking events all over Central and South America and Caribbean. So there were lots of choices, and I think it's very surprising that there are no premieres.
Yeah, I mean, because last year they picked a bunch of them, right? But, there might have been like a little bit of an evaluation on their part, like this one didn't run well or nobody attended this one, and so they don't feel like the points were deserved or something like that. I wonder if there's any of that involved in there.
But like at a minimum, you and I both went to First Attack in Puerto Rico. It's great. Yeah. It was run well.
And you know what? First Attack, I feel like, has had at least a few years of success now that they could... obviously the attendance there is nothing crazy, but if you turned it into a premiere, obviously the attendance would be fantastic there because a lot more people would travel to it. And then on top of all of that, we already know it's run by people who can do a good job, and it might be cool to give them a shot. You know what I mean?
And it's the United States, so if you can travel to the U.S., which almost everybody can, you can travel there. There's no travel restrictions in the same way as other countries. I mean, I'm not in particular fighting for First Attack. It's just there should have been something in that giant region with many players.
Yeah, they removed DreamHack last year because remember DreamHack, you couldn't stay like too close to it. You had to like, wasn't that the one like DreamHack Sweden? You had to like stay in some random hotel somewhere and only like 7 people went or something like that.
Yeah, it was very few people. I remember there being some issue like one of the hotels in Jönköping closed down, something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Some small city anyway.
I mean, it's interesting because Curly W says he's like, how well an event is run has zero bearing on whether or not they become a premiere. I mean, there's
it's not zero. I think that's overstating it, but I think I know what he's getting at, and it's true that despite some significant issues, some events still consistently get premiere status.
Right.
So that is true for sure.
DreamHack Summer was the same weekend as CEO. I remember a bunch of people went there instead to try to get some easier points.
Yeah. So those are the big changes there. It's hard to justify, even if there are concerns about some events or whatever it is. And again, we don't know that they have concerns.
Yeah.
Trying to think about what the problem was. I don't know, and I'm surprised and sort of sad. I want as many regions to be represented as possible. I don't want it to be hard for MENA RD to qualify again.
Right.
And furthermore, I don't want it to be hard for somebody like Didymokov, who turned out to be super good and made a deep run at Capcom Cup. I don't want it to be even tougher for him. You know, I mean, he won the regional qualifier, but if there was more chance to travel to premieres, better chance to qualify for Capcom Cup.
Is there any verbiage in there that even hints that they could add stuff in the future, or no?
Not that I saw, but that's not to say that they won't do that. Right.
Because, I mean, for sure.
Well, it does say, below is a list of events currently confirmed for the 2018 season of the Capcom Pro Tour. We'll be updating the schedule with the remaining dates for ranking events, regional finals, and online ranking events. So it doesn't explicitly say more premieres, but it does say currently confirmed. So you can weasel in another, another tournament or two.
Exactly. So.
Yeah.
Well, someone in the chat says that they did say more is coming.
Oh yeah, I didn't see that.
I mean, it could just be one of those situations where they're like, crap. Quick,
they done screwed up.
Yeah. Let's add some more. You never know, right? But here's the thing: even if that's the case, you can't be mad at them because then that's good. That means that they're like reacting to it.
That part is good. The initial decision is not.
Yeah. Exactly.
But you're right. If they do improve it, then that'd be nice.
Right. So if we can get some more, especially Latin America, but Europe only having 2 events is mind blowing because the Europe scene is super strong, right?
It is very strong.
Yeah.
I mean, Japan itself, I think, has 2, which is, for the strength of that scene, you may think more. There's, for example, Japan Cup, which was premier last year, is not this year.
Oh, really? It wasn't listed. It's not there, huh?
Let me double check on that, but I believe that is accurate. Yeah.
Oh, you know why? Because they have Japan premiere at Tokyo Game Show. That's kind of what it was. Because remember, Tokyo Game Show wasn't a premiere last year. It was Japan Cup.
Right.
So maybe Japan Cup at Tokyo, maybe the Japan premiere at Tokyo Game Show counts as Japan Cup.
Maybe. I don't know. It's not listed in the ranking events either.
Right.
So yeah, you may be right about that. But I feel like.
So Japan only has 1 premiere? So that's what the chat's saying.
1 premiere then? Okay, yeah, I guess I just kind of, you're right. 1 premiere.
Okay, so they still only have 1 premiere.
Yeah, 1 premiere. Singapore has 1. China and Hong Kong.
Is Taiwan made?
And Taiwan.
Taiwan is still there. Okay.
Yeah.
So they're spread. Korea doesn't have a major premiere?
No, but I don't think it has had one.
Yeah, it's never had one, but that's kind of a strange.
I don't think it even has. There's a ranking event, FighterZ Spirit in Seoul.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
April.
Yeah. I mean,
anyway.
I don't want to sit here and be like, oh, TOs, it better step up. Like that's kind of that's not the case at all. I feel like, I mean, a few of those Latin America events you might want to just like try giving a shot to, or even just like, for example, like I went to Chile. I know Sejam and a bunch of the other guys went to Chile for Tekken and stuff. And that scene down there they've got a lot of good people there who I feel like could run a lot of things. At Festa Game, for example, they had, which is what I went to last year, which was super cool. So I would imagine that maybe they would try to maybe work with them or something. I don't know.
There is a Chilean ranking event. Never Give Up in September.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, they've had that for a couple of years now.
Yeah, so. No, I mean, a bunch of countries have ranking events. Just, so the other change with the points situation, sort of these two things in combination, make it, I think, quite difficult to qualify unless you are traveling a lot.
Unless you are a pro who can travel. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Because obviously the bulk of the points got moved to the premier events now.
Yeah.
So you really do have to make it to the premier events.
You really got to get to the premier events, yeah. So for comparison, they list the points here in a very helpful graph. See this? So if you win a ranking event, you get 150 points, which is the same...
I thought it was 200. It's 150?
Yeah, 150 points for first place at a ranking event. Fourth place at a premier gets more than that, 160. So if you, and then that's first place for a ranking event. Second place is 70 points, so it's a huge drop off at a ranking event.
So 150 to 70.
Right, which is equivalent to getting 9th place at a premier or 33rd at Evo. So to get anything do anything other than win a ranking event it has very little role to play in whether you make it into Capcom Cup.
I'm almost starting to feel like that Nemo's strategy from last year is the better strategy. I mean, people asked him why he went, did that way. He was like, this is easier than qualifying through points.
Right, to get the last chance qualifier
at Capcom Cup. Was just go there and win that. He was like, this is easier than it was to travel around and get all the points. I mean, he might be right.
He might be right.
He might be right, in particular this year. Because the premier events are only going to get that much more of a bloodbath at this point in time, and so.
Right. No, I can see that. So you basically need to go to premieres, but as we said, the premieres are not very well geographically distributed. So people in North America have a big time advantage, right, compared to Europe and Latin America.
Yeah, traveling within the U.S. is no easy task, but compared to traveling from Latin America, from Europe, from Asia, it's like a whole different story, right? So
not even the same question.
And as other people have pointed out too, it's not even just travel expenses, but if you're traveling from East Coast to West Coast, like let's say we fly over there, okay, we get 2-3 hour jet lag problem. Oh, we gotta sleep and wake up early for commentary or whatever. But dude, you come from Europe and all these places, you're like, the jet lag is ridiculous at that point in time, and so it's going to be even that much harder for you to play it successfully at these events.
Even to go from Brazil to California is a big change in time too. So yeah, so I don't like it. I mean, clearly I'm complaining about a lot so far, but I don't like it for two big reasons. One is I don't like that it's kind of geographically favored the U.S. Even though I'm from here, that's not the point. I want more regions represented. And then the other is that I feel like it makes it so that players need to have a sponsor or need to have some way of paying for themselves to get around in a way that was not as necessary before.
Right. It's interesting because I understand that you might want to, like, if you've seen the ranking events results from last year and you're like, man, some of these people getting points at ranking events, do they really deserve it? There wasn't much competition.
I hear you.
There's that. But at the same time, I think that's the wrong attitude. I really think I would rather do that because the top players are going to get their points no matter what. And in fact, when someone took the point calculation, interesting enough, when someone took the point calculations with this and distributed it to last year, only 2 people changed. NL got in and Luffy fell out. That was the only difference. But
wasn't Sako who fell out?
I kind of remember, it was something like that. It was only just like 1 or 2 players changed, right? However, that's also on the fact that there was premieres in other places, right? True. So, necessarily applying it to the last year's might not work as well, right? So, I would rather have the ranking events award more points for less stronger players than to put all the points in premieres.
I agree with you.
Because that does give us the Didymokovs and stuff like that, and Didymokov turned out, he was right there. He almost beat He was one of the guys who almost beat Nemo, right? Or
I don't remember, to be honest. But I do remember
somebody,
he beat Kazunoko.
Yeah, he beat Kazunoko. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm sad about that. I'm sad
too.
Yeah, or even if the ranking events were going to give less points, then don't have the drop-offs be so badly. Like, if you notice, the 7th and 5th place is the difference between 10 point and 1 point. I mean, honestly, what's the point of 1 point?
Yeah. It's like when
Terry.
Terry. He
the 1 year that Evo had the circuit and you got Evo points.
Yes.
He got 1 point at an event, and he was like the happiest guy.
Didn't he get it framed? I heard he got the certificate framed.
Something like that, yeah.
Anyway, 1 point's almost inconceivable that it really matters for you getting into Capcom Cup.
Like, it should have been 150, 100, 75, 50, something like that. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And then, I believe, same as last year, the regional final the sort of top 8 regional players will play. And if somebody wins who's already in Capcom Cup, then there's no automatic qualifier for the second place regional person.
It's based off of the points.
It opens up another global spot instead.
Oh, is that what they said?
Isn't that how it was?
Okay, yeah. I wasn't sure if they changed that or not.
No, that's the same.
I mean, the change that they had was that last chance qualifier to get into the regional top 8, anybody can enter that now.
That's basically a premiere.
Right. But even if you're like, let's say Tokido comes to the North American finals and he wins it, he doesn't get to go into the top 8. They get the next guy and throw him in there. Correct. But they can just basically be in there to gatekeep, right?
And get money and points.
Right. But there's no points in those, right? There was never.
Are there no? I guess that's true. But
I think they got points just for ranking or something like that. I forgot how it worked exactly.
Whatever. Yeah. I just if my quarrel with this is that if the situation is going to be difficult for...
Yeah, so Starving Gamer mentioned it, so when a player... if the player who already qualified on the regional qualifier wins, then it's that regional points. The next highest player makes it in there.
I see. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Anyway, my issue with it is that if you're going to make it tougher for some regions to qualify, fewer premieres and or no premieres, then at least make it so that you guarantee one extra person coming from that region by getting second place at the regional finals.
Right.
So I would at least like that. I'm worried that there's going to be even fewer Latin American players, that there's going to be a bunch of Americans, that there are going to be fewer Europeans. I think that kind of sucks.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they want to let anybody enter the regional finals because they want to make them bigger events. You know what I mean? Have more people go to them. So, like, the Red Bull event has Tokido, and stuff like that. Or, I don't know. Like, I'm not sure what the logic of letting anybody enter it outside of that. Making them bigger events because there's more, premier names and stuff. But what would be the point of a foreign player going there outside of winning the money?
This year, the regional finals will include an open tournament allowing a player from any region to compete for global leaderboard points, prizing, and regional leaderboard points for players in that region. So, global leaderboard points and prize money.
Okay.
So, I get why you would travel as the player. Sure.
Okay.
Anyway, that's the news about Capcom Pro Tour.
Yeah.
I do think it's unfortunate, and I hope that they redo it to some extent.
Yeah, I hope.
That is my hope.
During the course of the year, they add events, because I don't think anybody would be mad about that.
How could you be?
Unless it was like, the event next week, because then you can't plan for it, right? But if it was like 4 months later, actually, we're going to add this event in here, or like, let's say in April or May, they're like, you know what, First Attack is going to become a premiere. And then we can just be like, okay, you know what I mean? That kind of thing. Then people could plan for it and stuff like that, as long as they're given heads up for it.
Yeah.
But, because the one thing that's going to happen is if, let's say they do that, let's say they turn something into a premiere later on, people are going to find some reason to complain about that. But I think as long as they have enough of an advance notice, I think it's good. I think it's a good thing.
I agree with you.
Unless it's another U.S. tournament.
That would be bad news. Yeah.
So
yeah. I don't want to. I don't think there's any nefarious reason behind this. I don't think it's like Capcom's like, we have to protect North Americans or whatever. It's, come on.
No.
I'm sure that's not what's happening. But I do think that they could have done a much better job. So I hope that they do.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Hopefully, things change during the course of the year. And again, I know that probably will speak to, quote, some people will probably be like, oh, quote, professionalism, unquote, like, oh, it's not good if you change it in the middle of the year and everything. Dude, we're all still grassroots. We're all still trying to figure this out. I don't think we need to be held to those kind of standards.
I think that's fine.
If people want to change it during the course of the year, I think that's fine. I think that's
as long as it's nothing drastic, but adding a premiere, as you said, I'm sure nobody would complain about that.
That just means there's more points. It's like no one's going to get mad about that. So. Yeah, I mean, honestly, a lot of people have talked about First Attack recently.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I think I've enjoyed it a lot.
It's a good event, for sure.
It's a good event, and not only is it a good event, but it's a good location. Because when you go there, you can spend extra time there. There's a lot of great stuff going on in Puerto Rico and stuff like that. And you know what, frankly, I mean, from everything that they went through last year, they could use a little, goodwill
that local
and stuff.
Injection.
Yeah, exactly. Sure, so.
Yeah. Okay. Welp, is that it about that?
Sure. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic here.
Hey, can I go whiz first?
So do you want to take a break?
Yeah, I really gotta pee. It took me way longer to drive here than I thought it would.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Huh, okay. Well, anyway, so Blanka, what's your...
No, okay.
Yeah, go ahead. All right, cool. Guys, we'll be right back. So we can have a chance. So David,
you are dragging this out as long as you can.
David, well, we're going to talk about the guy above David's head, and what is it? Wait, it was Blanka, right? Yeah. Okay, he just came out. No, okay, go ahead.